Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Bar podcast. I'm your host, Denisa Tova. And in today's episode, I am so excited to have a heart to heart chat with a dear friend and one very exceptional family law attorney, Bob Cohen. Bob is a partner with a powerhouse law firm called Tabat, Cohen, Blum, Yovino, and Diesa, and they're located on Long Island, New York. And Bob's life and career are so inspiring as they are unique. So get ready for this insightful and entertaining dive into Bob's life. Bob, welcome.
Thank you, Denisa. Great to be here.
So, hey, Bob, why don't you kick us off with your journey? I understand that you had your share of doubts, almost, I think you said imposter syndrome about making it in the law. What was all that about, and how did you push past that?
I'm not sure how I got through law school. Uh, College was fun and to me easy. Law school was a rude awakening because all of a sudden I wasn't the smartest kid in the class anymore. And my sense was that just about everybody was smarter than me. Uh, I managed, I got through it, I graduated, I passed the first time. And for the first many years of my career, I didn't think I was going to be good enough to make it. Uh, Again, everybody was smarter than me, everybody knew more than me, and that took a while to get through. And today, even, I have pieces of that foot left.
Hmm. Where do you think it's coming from? Or it came from?
I think it came from the fact that everybody really was smarter than me and really did have more going for them than me. At least that was my perception at the time, which made it real. Uh, After a while, obviously, I've worked hard to attain some success, and now I don't have that as much, but there are still pieces of that linger inside, and probably always will be, and it might make me better.
That is a good point, and I appreciate you being vulnerable. That really is the essence of this podcast. I can see how you would turn that into strength. Do you feel that it makes you more sort of you're able to connect with your clients?
I think that connecting to clients comes more from my work in college as a peer counselor and taking and really getting into the psychology part of this. As anybody who does this or knows people who do this for a living, the counselor at law part is pronounced in the divorce world more than the attorney. Uh, I sold bedspreads and drapes and comforters and dust ruffles from when I was 13 years old on the Lower East Side for my father's store. And I learned how to communicate with just about every socioeconomic group on the planet. That probably helped me more than anything else because a lot of lawyers talk very well, but don't know how to listen and don't know how to reflect on what the client tells them to get better and more insight into their case. The listening skills that I developed selling from when I was 13 and then doing peer counseling was probably one of my biggest assets.
One could never tell. You're quite the comedian. But before we go there, I know you've had your share of strange cases. I am dying to hear about a couple of them that stand out the most.
Well, certainly my favorite case ever was what I call the Indian wedding case. Represented a husband, probably in his 50s or 60s, give or take, by the time I got him. And he was married, second marriage. And in the 1980s, out of the blue, came alleged wife number one, who was still living in India. And she claimed that the orthopedic surgeon husband was still her husband because they were never divorced. So I was cross examining a professor from Columbia on Hindu and Indian customs with respect to marriages instead of talking about a not paid LIPA bill, which was kind of fun. Uh, the judge in that case, Judge Falanga, was very much into it. The witnesses came over from India in Indian garb. Very few spoke English. One who did not speak English was coming back from lunch to testify. He got on the stand with his interpreter, and the judge asked him what he had for lunch, told him what he had for lunch. And the judge said, "Have you been to New York City?" The gentleman said, "No." Then the judge looked at him and said, "Have you seen Mamma Mia?" Which I thought
What?
was one of the great moments of courthouse history. Uh, the man had not seen Mamma Mia, but it's just one of many. I said to Judge Leo 2 weeks ago when he took over the questioning, "Judge, if you're going to try my case, please don't lose it," which was stealing a line from Paul Newman in the verdict. Uh, I, take, I take some liberties in courtrooms where I know I can take liberties, where I know the audience, and I've been
Yeah.
around for a few days, so people give me a little bit of slack. So I'm still trying to have fun doing what I'm doing.
I think that's important though. It is, see, so one way to look at it is, I mean, you are not diminishing the seriousness of the circumstances, but I think levity in all of this is really important because there's so much more. There's so many layers that you're dealing with, and you are essentially dealing with something that will impact the family for the rest of their lives, as you know it personally. So, I think bringing a humor into it is just human thing to do, and I know you use a lot of it actually, and you're famous in the local legal community, as the king of roasts and song parodies, and I've actually experienced it myself. So I do have a two-part question here. Why, and I may have answered it, but that was just my opinion. Why do you use, so much humor? What do you think that's all about for you? And then the second part, of course, that I'm dying to know is what's the funniest thing that you've ever done in one of these events?
Mm. Okay. Uh, when I deal with clients, I think humor is important because they're going through an emotional wreck of a time. And everything is serious and everything can be an emotional problem. One of the ways to lighten things up every once in a while is with humor, and it gives us both a relief and lets us kind of refocus ourselves to get back to the business at hand, which we need to do. Uh, and that can work in negotiations with lawyers as well. We take ourselves very seriously, most of us, most of the time. And sometimes in tense negotiations where things can either get heated or the tone kind of changes, that's a good spot to throw in a joke or two or make fun of myself to kind of, again, lighten the mood so we can refresh and get back to business. Uh, the funniest thing that I've ever done, that's a tough one. Uh, One of my favorites was I gave out awards. The Maddies, which is something I created, we do it around the time of the Oscars. Done about three of them, I think. It's an awards show with comedy in it. And one of the awards that I gave a couple of years ago was the category was the man I would sleep with if I was gay. And I then picked out three very heterosexual males because picking out a gay guy would not have been funny for that.
Right.
And I ended up giving a football that was missing air from the old Tom Brady routine to our own Tom Brady, John Fellon, who's about 6'4", 210, and looks like, you know, an Adonis. Uh,
Yeah.
that was good. And what I suggested to him when I handed him the football as the award to everybody in the room was that looking at the two of us, knowing the category, everybody in this room knows who's going to be the top and who's not. In the room was Deacon and Judge Bihar, who was a little bit put off by that for some reason. I don't know why. again, it's just lightening it up and having a few laughs. There's a new generation
Yeah.
that sometimes doesn't get the joke and doesn't want to be offended. And, we're going to give them participation trophies while the rest of us have a few laughs.
And you know what? And I think you've earned that right to do that because from your personal experience, I mean, you became a single dad. And you were sort of you almost had to wear this superhero cape, being a single dad and then managing a law practice. What was that like?
That was a change. My wife moved to St. Louis, and my kids were 13 and 9, and we formed the Cohen Three Boys team, and we did it. And they pitched in, and I pitched in, and everybody pitched in, and we figured it out. And they still got on the bus in the morning, and my younger son got a note in his lunch bag every day. And instead of getting in at 7:30, I got in at 8:30 because the kids had to get on the bus. And instead of coming home at 7 or 7:30, I'd come home at 6 so that they could get fed. And we work great together, and they're good kids, and they got good values, and they love their mother, and very proud of both of them.
See, that's another perspective that you have to bring to your clients, sort of
Yeah, I never
normalizing
knew
that.
what it was like to be a single parent. I never really wanted, frankly, to know what it was like to be a single parent. But it did give me a level of empathy that I did not have that has been very valuable.
Yeah. How it was not necessarily a setback, it's certainly a challenge, and I can relate. How have you navigated any major setbacks in your life?
Sometimes with humor, sometimes with working harder. When my
Mm.
wife left and my otherwise quite healthy self esteem took quite a hit, one of the things that I did to make myself feel better about myself was pour myself into work because I was good at work. I knew my job and people respected me. And that gave me kind of the reassuring boost that I needed that even though I was embarking on a new chapter in my life, so to speak, I'd be okay. And so would the kid. And we were. Work hard, put your head down, stay focused, and have a few laughs. That's a
Few,
good
just a few.
combination for me anyway.
Let's stay on that topic and talk about other special people in your life. Let's talk about Rona and Gary. Let's start with Rona. How has she been a part of your personal journey and what is what is that one thing she does that always makes you smile?
There's a lot of things that make me smile. Uh, what's special about her and me is that we met each other at the right time in our life. We are both grown ups. We have both lived alone for many years, are very independent people, don't want anybody up our butt or on top of us every minute of every day. Both of us are mature enough to trust each other. She goes out to dinners with men in her business life. I don't care. And she trusts me equally, and both of us are good that way. Uh, One of the things that we both needed was somebody in our life we trusted and loved, and somebody who would leave us alone and be there when we needed each other, but
Yeah.
allow each other to continue to be who we were to begin with. She was great at that, and I'm trying to be great at it as well.
Trust is a big one and being able to I think the fear for many people is if I ask for space, I'll be abandoned. Whereas, it's healthy. That doesn't mean, if there is space that somebody will leave, and especially if you've experienced divorce, you had a tough childhood. I think that one is a tough one too for many people to wrap their arms around. Is you can have a really great relationship partnership, give each other space, and you're kind of like you're accompanying each other. That's at least how I look at it on the life journey, as opposed to um, completing each other. That's yeah, that's certainly not giving space. And you guys definitely figured it out. I I know the chemistry is great. Let's talk about Gary Tabat. How has he influenced your life, your career, and any memorable lessons or stories?
Gary and I got together in 1989 and became partners in 1990. And 31 years later, he left. Uh, we were amazing together. He had talents that I didn't have, and I brought things to the table that he wasn't especially good at. So it was a very good mix in terms of partnership. Uh, he was more vision, I was more logistics. He looked at the broader picture, and I looked at the day to day grind more often. Plus, I was, thanks to my dad, more the finance guy. Gary was good at a lot of things, but he was happy to turn over most of the business part of this to me, and I've been doing that ever since. He and I have taken bullets together. We've been through wars together. He was by my side during my divorce. I've been on
Mhm.
his side since I met him with many things in his life that have caused him trauma and problems. We went from a two-person firm. We at one point were 14 people, and then we pared it down to seven, which is about the right number. Uh, Without Gary Talbot, I wouldn't be where I am today.
What a great tribute. Wow.
You know?
You've experienced a lot. You have so much to offer. What advice, words of wisdom, or humor would you give to incoming attorneys?
Don't be a divorce lawyer.
Yeah, that's a good. I see. I
No,
knew something like that would come
actually
out of your
that's
mouth.
not. That's really not true. It's a field of law where you get to help people probably at least as much, if not any field of law around. We help families, we help children, we guide parents to have them do the proverbial right thing as opposed to things that other instincts they may have might have taken them. It's really important work, and I take it really seriously, and so do every lawyer. So does every lawyer in my firm. Uh, if you want to do this kind of work, learn psychology, learn
Mm.
patience, and learn to listen. Because the people management skills in my world are probably as important as the legal skills. I wish I could have done more writing when I was in college and law school because there is a lot of writing in our business. I wish I was better. I think I'm okay, but I wish I was better. But it's really more the people skills and the commitment to working this business because this has never
Mm.
been a 9 to 5 job. You can't coast through it. And if you try to take it easy and kind of get by, people are going to go right by you. It is hard work. It ain't glamorous, but it's very rewarding. Can be financially, but emotionally, when somebody comes to you and thanks you for helping them and their family, me, it's very meaningful. Uh, so again, the advice I would give is if you're going to do this, be serious about it. If you're going to do something else, be serious about that too. Work your ass off, take it seriously, have a few laughs because you need that balance. You can't be grumpy all the time. It just won't work.
You know, I just had a thought as you articulated that way because you've been doing it for a very long time and
43
you
years.
stuck
If you
with
do it
it.
in dog years, I think I'm seven times, yeah, a lot.
Wow. And you ain't slowing down, that's for sure.
Well, I like what I do. I have
Yeah.
a great team that I work with. My associates, my partners, my staff, they're amazing. They care, they give a shit, they care,
Yeah.
uh, and it makes a difference. So I'm still going. I'll be going for a few more years. Rona's retired. She's younger than me. She's doing what she wants to do. I'm doing what I want to do. And no, I haven't slowed down yet.
No, I know that. Well, Bob, we'll definitely have you back. Your journey, really, to sum it up, it's not just a story of legal expertise. Obviously, we're going beyond the bar, but it's a personal grit, resilience, and really, being able to find lightness in really the most difficult circumstances. So, thank you so much for sharing your journey and experience with us.
My pleasure, Denisa. And let me compliment you because this series has been very enlightening and fun. So good for you for putting it together.
Thank you, and I'm not slowing down either. So it's
Yeah,
definitely we're going strong,
I'm sure.
and for our audience, I know you'll be curious to know how to get a hold of Bob and Bob Cohen and how to connect with him. So make sure that you check out his bio linked below and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Beyond the Bar Podcast. Follow us on all social media channels. And until next time, stay curious and inspired.